Good evening, everybody. Honorable Vice Chancellor of Pune University, distinguished colleagues at the head table here on the stage, experts and professionals from many parts of the world, students, friends, ladies and gentlemen. At the very outset, let me say what a great honor it is to be invited to address a plenary group like yours in the Second World Ayurveda Congress and Arogya 2006. Let me also congratulate the Vigyan Bharati, the University of Pune, and our own health ministry, plus all the people who sometimes are nameless, sometimes are never seen, who make a big conference like this a success. And I also must, at the very beginning, confess feeling very daunted addressing such an expert group, people who know much more than I do about this field, about these systems of knowledge, people who have spent their lives in trying to understand and to help others by applying that knowledge. And I, as a lay person, am now sitting in the Planning Commission, engaged in the process of the 11th five-year plan, a process in which I have been greatly helped by my colleague, Mr. Darshan Shankar, and Dr. Bhushan Patwardhan, people who have just come out from among practitioners, among votaries, and volunteered to help us out, so that what we plan, in fact, has a connection and has a resonance with what people want. So I'm going to basically talk from the point of view of how we in the Planning Commission see this whole systems, all the Indian systems of medicine, not just Ayurveda, but the entire Ayush, concentrating, of course, on Ayurveda, because this is an Ayurveda conference, all the 5 streams of ISM, and what is the future of Ayush, and what does the approach paper of the 11th five-year plan say. Actually, I can't see that screen very well. No. Yeah. Maybe you can come right here. Come next to me. Thank you. Now, I will project a few slides and talk around those slides so that you have something before your eyes, but I'd also like to beg your indulgence in listening to few thoughts that I have to share with you. The first slide, as you see, is about pluralistic healthcare in India. And some of these sentences on the slide are truisms that you're all well aware of, that India has a strong base in Western biomedicine and surgery. Okay, it's a given. It also has one of the world's most mature heritage in traditional medicine, and that, of course, we all know and we all endorse. India can therefore be a world leader in evolving pluralistic models of healthcare. Move. The first point is obvious, that we have this strong base, and Indian doctors, go back, that Indian doctors and medical practitioners are in demand internationally. We know that, sometimes we know it to our cost. But what most of us laypersons often tend to forget, and I use this very deliberately, is that our country has one of the most mature heritage in traditional medicine all over the globe. And I repeat, the most mature heritage in traditional medicine all over the globe. We also know that different forms of traditional medicine, Ayurveda, Unani, Siddh, Yoga, these are, and other kinds of indigenous medicines, medicinal practices. You see, these are the 5 known traditional Indian systems of medicine, but there are so many other traditional systems of medicine which exist all over the country. And like, for example, the medical practices in the northeast of India. That practice also is very efficacious for the people. Or the system in Ladakh, that also is very useful for the people. And then there is the whole science and the field of homeopathy, which may not have been born here, but has been part and parcel of our medical ethos. Everywhere, people have successfully used their knowledge of herbs, of local jari booty, to keep alive and healthy, albeit in difficult circumstances. And when I say that in difficult circumstances, I speak from my experience, because where no one can reach, that is where the Indian systems of medicine can reach. That is where... Have I done this? And that is ultimately what are we here for? Let us ask ourselves, what are we here for? We are here to alleviate the pain and suffering of the people. And unless we can reach the people, I will give you the example of a few months ago, I was in a small little village in Meghalaya, in northeast, where there is no way that any pregnant woman can reach where there is a primary health center unless she is put on a chair. The chair is strapped in the back of 1 or 2 able-bodied men, and she's carried up the mountain, because the village is at the bottom of the mountain and there is no way. And on the way, she can die, she can deliver, the child can be born and can be born still. Anything can happen on the way. What reaches her is that indigenous medicine. And I, for one, am very, very much conscious and aware of it. So India has a good mixture of modern and traditional knowledge in this area. Today, it provides us with a unique opportunity to emerge as a world leader in pluralistic models of health care. And we have no business to lose this chance and this opportunity that we have. And my presence in the Planning Commission, just now Dr. Patwardhan said that I give them some inspiration, is because I believe in Ayurveda, I believe in the alternate systems of medicine, I believe in the Indian systems of medicine. And when you believe in something, then it's easy to vote for it. It's easy to become an advocate. But believe me, there are many skeptical people who one has to convince, but I'm not at all, I don't feel that is any impediment. I think that is a hurdle that one can overcome. Now, recent health-seeking behavior studies indicate a significant acceptance of complementary systems of medicine. So having said that there are a lot of skeptics, there is also an increasing acceptance that these are the complementary systems of medicine. And the other fact which is very clear and is borne out by the kind of people who have come to this Congress is that medical pluralism is clearly the future direction for global health care. Why do we always have to be, why do we always have to be told, by other countries, by the so-called advanced and the first world countries, that medical pluralism is the future. We know it in our hearts, and we know it, but we bury it. So the point is to bring it out and to realize that medical pluralism is clearly the future direction for global health care. It is for this reason that the domestic and global challenges, that's the third point on in my slide, therefore the domestic and global challenges for Ayush in the 11th plan are very different from the previous plans. You see, we have a lot of proof of this. The fact that it is efficacious is proven by states like Himachal, like Kerala, and parts of Maharashtra, which have mainstreamed the Indian systems of medicine. And we know that they are, in fact, much better. And for example, in Himachal, which is a hill state where the population is scattered, where the terrain is difficult, and that I also told you about Meghalaya. In difficult terrain where the population is scattered, it is available, it is accessible, and it is affordable. The next slide says, why Ayush? And this is what I had to ask myself. And once I had the answers, then I had to convince people right and left of me, why Ayush? And again, it's outreach even in remote areas. The doctors, you see, people cannot avail. There are patients who cannot avail the primary health centers and even community health centers in remote areas. And as it is, there are many vacancies. The problem is that the doctors are not there, the nurses are not there, and the vacancies that exist, if we try to bring the modern medicine into all the parts and nooks of our country, it can be the 23rd century and we may never get there. Now I'm talking from the other point of view, which says you should have practitioners of modern medicine everywhere in all the nooks and corners of this country. It will never happen. There are so many vacancies that if I give you some statistics, 6% to 30% posts are vacant today. 30% to 70% of doctors are absent. I went to, last month, I went to a Kurnool district of Andhra Pradesh in a very famous religious Tirath Sthan called Shri Sailam. I did visit the Tirath Sthan, but I also went to find out what was the condition of the public health system. And I found that over 200 doctors' positions are lying vacant. The PHCs are not accessible. We have vacancies that exist all over the country, and then we have 500,000 trained Ayush practitioners who can effectively cater to and fill the empty slots. So the whole thing is, for me, borders on absurdity. We have the trained people, we have the people who have the confidence of the patients, of the public, and yet we have these vacant slots, and yet we have all these trained people, and we cannot bring the two together. Then there is the whole question of affordability. Yesterday, when I was in Pune, I visited a village in Ahmednagar district called Malashiras, which is 25 kilometers from Pune. I met a lot of village health workers there who was basically being trained by a non-governmental organization and trying to alleviate the problems of the health problems of the people. They told me how they used the locally available plants to treat diarrhea, to treat the gynecological problems of women like white discharge and so on, how they used the local remedies, the local herbs, and how that was efficacious. In Meghalaya, again I'm going back to the northeast, there are the sacred groves which, thank God, despite the fact that we are completely destroying our forests, these sacred groves are still intact. They are the huge wealth of medicinal plants, and they are available. So local resources, cost-effective and available. And then on this why Ayush, for me what is very important is that Ayurveda and all the Indian systems of medicine focus on both the body and the mind. Because mind is, as we all know, and I'm talking again to an expert audience, but I know from the my point of view and the work I do, my mind really controls the functions of my body, and it is the holistic approach of these systems of medicine which is very efficacious. When I was 1 year through my term in the Planning Commission, I found it was just too much stress and strain for me. At the end of that 1 year, I decided I'm going to go to some serious Ayurvedic place where I'm going to be able to get away from it all and just look after my body and my mind. And I'm not saying anything to you which is not the truth of the matter. Today I'm standing in front of you and I'm able to put up with all the strain and the stress of being in this position. And believe me, there's a lot of stress and strain because you want to do so much, you see the condition of people, you have the power, and yet you have to continuously negotiate it. All of that, I must admit today, was only possible because I was able to retreat into a system of medicine that took care of my body and my mind. The other point, why Ayush, is this whole thing of commercialization. Doctors now have no time to talk to patients about their life, about good practices, about healing. Everything has become very mechanical, very test-oriented. Before anything, you are handed over a sheaf of papers. You have to take a number of tests. By the end of that, your body is racked. And I'm not saying that that's not important. Of course it is important. But it is the fact that talking about a healthy lifestyle, about a healthy diet. When I was a small child, I remember being always told what to eat, what not to eat, to walk, all the simple things of life which became very important when it came from the mouth of a doctor. I don't see any of it happening now, and that is another reason. Then the whole global demand. Of course, I think it's wonderful to have global demand, but I think local demand is equally important. But just for a moment to focus on global demand. Recognition of all the international demand for the Indian systems of medicine, particularly for Ayurveda. Tourists, you see tourists, they are queuing up for rejuvenation of the body and mind, and all of this. Now, some of it becomes a fad, and we don't believe in fad, we believe in the real thing. But the point is, why are people lining up? Why are people queuing up? What is the pain? What is the suffering that a human being has from Europe, from America, from all over the world? Why do they come? What is it that we have that they don't have? And I think we have that equanimity, that maturity that we can impart with a serious dispensation and a serious actually sharing of our knowledge and the healing touch that the Indian systems of medicines give. I remember I went to a village in the Khurda district of Odisha, in a small village, and I remember the name of the village was Kalupura, where one man was practicing some form of Ayurveda. I can't remember the name of that, but what particular form it was, but people came to him with paralysis, patients came to him with strokes, and in front of my eyes, I saw the small money that he took, the pain that he took in helping those people and how he was able to relieve the pain. It was a very small, dark place where nobody even wanted to enter. I entered, I subjected myself to his treatment, and I could see both the efficacy of it as well as the humanity of it. Now, in the current scenario, I think I'm just now towards the end of my presentation. In the current scenario, in India, the outlay for health in the 10th plan was 37,153 crore. The original outlay for Ayush was 775 crore. The sum of annual outlays for Ayush were 1,214 crore. And the anticipated expenditure was 91%, not 100%, 91%. Now, health, commenting on this, I say that the overall, the Government of India expenditure for allocation is abysmal, 0.9%. Less than 5% of it goes to Ayush. Now, obviously, you can say it has been neglected. Because there is a lot of skepticism. People use the word quackery for Indian systems of medicine. I'm being honest with you. I hear it very often. It bothers me, but I think I must share it with you. And I also see signs of it. Recently, I was on a tour in Andhra Pradesh, and I saw a sign saying, Ayurvedic Aushadhiyan, कैंसर से लेके HIV एड्स तक. Ayurvedic medicines, cancer se leke HIV AIDS tak. It's this kind of thing which gives it a bad name. But the realization is coming now, and since I believe in it, I see that the difference. In the 11th plan, we are aiming at a greater outlay for health and for Ayush within the health sector. Yet, it is very important that the sector should be able to absorb the expenditure. We are trying to, and this is very important, and I want you to listen carefully to this. We are trying to mainstream Indian systems of medicine, Ayush, through the National Rural Health Mission. Many states are placing Ayush practitioners in primary health centers. Even in Andamans, when I went to Andaman, much after the tsunami, there is a beautiful Indian systems of medicine hospital which has come up. So that kind of a change one is experiencing. Now I want to talk to you a bit about the approach paper. The approach paper to the 11th plan has finally been approved by the full planning commission, which is chaired by the Prime Minister and has several minister members besides us. Now, what the process of the approval of this approach paper has not just been behind the closed doors of the planning commission. The process of approval has been by opening it up to people and opening it up, putting it up on the net, and inviting people from civil society to comment on it. And as a result of it, I'm very happy to say that the paper was considerably changed because people like you bothered to tell us where we were going wrong. So that paper is approved, and the approach paper then, in 3 small points, acknowledges the presence of indigenous systems of medicine and eco-specific local health traditions, number 1. Number 2, it calls for synergy between modern and Indian systems of medicine to increase quality and outreach of the public health system. And number 3, it recognizes contribution of Ayush in curative and preventive healthcare. Remember that the approach paper is just an approach paper. It's not the 11th five-year plan. It simply sets the direction. Now, when having set the direction, then people like Mr. Darshan Shankar and Bhushan Patwardhan and Dr. Sethi, my colleague sitting here, many people, they contribute to it we have steering committee meetings, we have working group meetings, we discuss, we talk, and then we come up with the 11th five-year plan, which is still now several months away. So everybody and anybody who wants to give any input, the time is now. So what is the way forward in the 11th five-year plan? What are the next steps for the approach paper? Let me also share with you where are we going to go now from the approach paper. The approach paper will come up again on the net. You'll have another opportunity to look at it in its new avatar. After that, the approach paper will go to the National Development Council. The National Development Council consists of chief ministers of all the states throughout the country, all the chief ministers, all the cabinet ministers. Everybody sits down and approves the approach paper. So when they approach those 3 points pertaining to Ayush, Indian systems of medicine, and Ayurveda, it means all of them have subscribed to including these things in the detailed 11th five-year plan. So when your chief minister, there are people here, a lot of people must be here from Maharashtra, when Mr. Vilas Rao Deshmukh puts his stamp of approval on the approach paper, then he is committing the state to actually endorsing and then planning the 11th five-year plan on the basis of the windows that have been opened. As I told you, we are now in the process of steering committees. The steering committees are doing their work, and that will be then presented to the full planning commission. I can tell you today what the steering committee is recommending, but then I cannot share that knowledge with you because I have not got approval of it from my internal planning commission. But let me say I have an excellent steering committee who is recommending what kind of outlays do we need? What kind of programs do we need? What kind of funding do we need to put behind those programs? The steering committee will recommend that, and once it recommends that, then the 11th plan will be written up, and monies will be allocated for programs, each and every program pertaining to the Indian systems of medicine and Ayush. And we are planning to ask for a much enhanced funding for this. Now, how much we can fight and how much we can get, I think that will have, a lot of it will have to be dependent on what all of us can do to lobby our respective state governments so that we get adequate funding, and not only adequate funding, but then it should also absorb that funding. We don't want at the end of the day to find out that the money has been returned and that funding cannot be absorbed. Then, of course, another very important area is quality control. Questions are always raised over quality and content of remedies. There is a lot of skepticism. You have to know what is the composition, what are the ingredients, and I continuously have to face the controversies which have to do with quality. I'll give you one example. When you are flying out of, on an international, when you're undertaking an international journey, and if you have some Ayurvedic medicine, or even some medicines from other systems of, other Indian systems of medicine, they never allow you to take it. They don't know what are the ingredients. So you may be very dependent on that medicine, but I have had personal experience of having to leave them behind. That is only one very crude example of a personal experience, but the point is about standardization. The internationally acceptable standards, the pharmacopoeial standards, and what is the raw material, and the whole network of certification agencies. I'm not going to dwell too much on this point. I think you know very well about it. You know that from time to time, very many controversies have erupted. People have questioned, people have, in some ways, they have had indictments against it. But I think that for that, we have to be very particular and very careful because we live in this globalized world. Everything is open to public scrutiny. Not to say that huge malpractices don't occur in other parts of medicine. But that is no reason why our medications and our medicines in the Ayush sector cannot be transparent. So I will leave that point, and I'm sure that you will have many sessions when you'll think about it. And then this whole aspect of research and documentation. Now, despite the fact that, for example, take Ayurveda, despite the history of Ayurveda, despite the fact that we have so many documents of Ayurveda, which are our treasured documents, our traditional documents, there's still not enough documentation which is available for an ordinary person like me, a lay person like me to understand. All of it is getting lost. I know that there are some NGOs. There are NGOs in the Northeast. There are NGOs in other parts, even in your own state of Maharashtra. They are doing meticulous documentation of all the medicinal plants. Everywhere you go, people say, oh, we have such wonderful medicinal. In Kashmir you go, in Meghalaya you go, they say we have such wonderful medicinal plants, but we don't have documentation. So I think that is also something which needs to be given proper resource and proper care. And, and then it has to be a participatory kind of a research. There have to be clinical trials, and we have to make it more available, accessible, and understandable to the common person. And finally, my last two slides, one is on training and promotion. And this is something which is for me, it's becoming a very important point. Traditionally, the knowledge was always passed on within families, from father to son, very rarely to daughters. I feel that these systems of medicine have remained extremely patriarchal. I think that also has to break down, except for Khasi and so on. But these five main systems, Indian systems of medicine, has always remained very patriarchal. And the Guru Shishya Parampara. But all of this is also being interrupted. Children don't necessarily want to learn the skills of their fathers and their mothers. They want to do other things, and that's true in so many other aspects as well. And so I think that actually that training has to be done on a much more professional level. And whatever the courses are, whatever the systems of learning, all that has to be brought in a kind of a systematic way and be brought online. And then we have to also work towards setting up a network of Ayush like an informatics center. And star products, there's something about star products. We have to develop, and I'm sure we are not very far from it. We are very, very close to developing star products that suddenly take the world by storm. And this is something which has come out of the Indian systems of medicine, which has solved a simple problem of people all over the world. And that becomes a star name, a brand, a name which is globally famous. And then finally, we need to reaffirm people's faith, which has become eroded. You know, I went to Barmer recently in Rajasthan, the place where there was the huge floods of Barmer. There was a bar in a desert. It was a very anomalous situation. And I met a woman, a pregnant woman with a long ghungat, who was sitting on the mud. She was 7 or 8 months pregnant. And she was from one of the villages, probably completely illiterate, and she knew the use of Alprex. She knew the use of Alprex because she was prescribed Alprex by some doctor who didn't know what he was doing, an allopathic doctor, and she did not know the use of her own indigenous medicine. And I find this really a great travesty and a tragedy. Not to know the system of your own system of medicine somehow means that the faith of the person is being eroded. So we have to restore the faith so they don't only think that Angrezi dawa has all the answers. We have to restore the faith of the common woman and the common man. And then my last slide is dialogue and synergy. The modern systems and Ayush, at the end of it, I want to say that the modern system of medicine and the traditional system of medicine, Ayurveda and Ayush, can complement each other, and we can use focus, there has to be a focus on Ayush and public health. I think this is such an important point which I want to bring into the 11th plan, and I am going to struggle for it. Darshan Shankar has been helping me, and Dr. Sethi. We are talking continuously of public health. And it's the modern medicine is more in terms of curative, but we need preventative and public health. And preventative and public health is very conducive to the use of the Indian systems of medicine. So there has to be a formal way in which public health can be then used, Indian systems of medicine, Ayurveda, and the entire Ayush system can be used to promote public health, because there is nothing more important than to actually concentrate on public health in order to get the health profile of our country much better. And finally, it's important for partnership with non-governmental institution, industry, and universities. And today I see that the University of Pune has undertaken to hold this Congress, is in partnership with the government and with the other NGO. It has undertaken to hold this very important Congress of Ayurveda. That this is a partnership, and it's this kind of partnership and other kinds of partnerships that should be forged between the Indian systems of medicine, Ayurveda, and non-governmental organizations, with industry, with universities, with academics, with researchers. So I just want to say on my part that sitting at the Planning Commission, believing in what you believe in, I am there to promote it. I am there to be your advocate. I am there to ensure that when the 11th plan is written, this particular sector gets what it's due, but all the other correctives that have to be applied, all the other factors that some of them I have pointed out and others have been, probably will be pointed out by other colleagues throughout this conference, that you have to take responsibility for. So take your charge of your responsibilities. I will, with my colleague, Dr. Sethi, and with Gunjan, I will take charge of my set of responsibilities, and together we will ensure that Ayurveda and all the entire Ayush system finds its place, proper place, in the 11th five-year plan. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Saeeda.